Have you been in one of his classes? Have you been in one of his classes?
Yes.
Certainly looking forward to this.
I just doing this, I just left the journaling. I left the journaling one. You know, they come here. They want to 15, you know, Christmas school isn't it? And they start at 3 o'clock and you go, why do they think this made any sense?
The timing on them is
Yeah,
kind
it's
of
weird.
weird.
Why do you start at 3 o'clock, 1 o'clock, and then, you know, you got 3 o'clock class? And they don't want you to come late.
I sure.
The laptop has been procured, everyone.
Yes,
It has been procured.
set up beeping sounds in their comments.
Thank you so much.
And anyone can write about it.
Anyone can write about this. I just need to,
Placed his laptop. I
if
don't
I
think
pop this in right here, will this go on the screen? You want to put it on the podium or
He didn't say you found.
Oh, really? You can go over it.
Do you have any audio in your presentation?
No,
Do you have videos?
No.
Okay. You can see it.
Okay, so
And
you,
it's got a clicker if you want to.
Oh, no clicker.
It'd be funny
No
to say
clicker
persuasive
necessary.
essays,
You
but
can actually-
essays from real life.
Yep.
oh, okay.
And last one, do you think you'll stick at the podium or do you want to?
Sometimes it
I'll
is
stick
something
it.
that I've advocated about.
I'm
How
gonna
about
stick
you?
in the podium.
Oh, I read,
Plenty
well,
of,
Yeah, it's a small room.
we're also live streaming, so you do have to be fairly close to the microphone.
Okay.
my first book was,
Anything
one
outside
on
the microphone, live streaming. So,
stories.
all it means is
Try to go to readers of farm and stories.
I see. Okay, perfect.
And,
get back there and we'll keep
Yes,
going.
and he's all connected, ready, rip roaring, ready to go.
I take a different topic. And finally took those and took the Christmas out of it. And now they're into stories that go.
Very good idea.
Commander John, which is when I was a platoon leader, company commander.
Did you need to use HDMI?
I don't think so.
That's like 350.
I can plug in.
Yeah, that should be.
Such a very group of
Thank
writers.
you for your patience this afternoon. And while they're finishing up here, let me just do the little housekeeping things that I have been assigned. My name is Christine Peterson. I'm the Latino Services Outreach Librarian here for the Johnson County Library. And my main role at the library here is to work with immigrants and ELL students. I work with adults in ELL language learning, English. And I also work with the citizenship classes. I am a children's librarian also because I do bilingual story times and work with children and their homework. And they're basically immigrant children, and the majority, of course, are Latinos. So that's what I do here at the library. I want to remind you that we have Library on Demand through the library website, where you can view some of the other sessions, because this session will be recorded, as they all have been throughout this entire conference. So if you missed something that was in this room, you might find that on Library on Demand and pick it up through our website. I also want to remind you that outside on the poster, there is a QR code that you take a picture of. It opens up to a generic evaluation form. So just put Mr. Bernsten's name in there as the presenter and just kind of express some of your thoughts and experiences from this presentation today. And as I stand here, I will just share with you Mr. Bernsten, is that correct?
Yep, you
All
got
right,
it.
there you go. Ryan Bernsten. He's a graduate from Northwestern University and Oxford's Creative Writing Master's Program. He's the author of the book, 50 States of Mind, A Journey to Rediscover American Democracy. And in addition to that, he worked as food writing contributor for the Infatuation. Ryan has written for the Fulcrum, the Oxford Political Review, USA Today, and the Trevor Project, where he is the senior managing editor. Ryan is an award-winning playwright whose plays have been performed across the United States and UK, and you may have seen him on stage at the Unicorn Theater in the play The Inheritance, or chatting with Helen Mirren as a Slytherin contestant on Harry Potter Hogwarts Tournament of Houses, and on the HBO Max. Mr. Bernsten, we welcome you to Johnson County Library once again. Thanks for being with us over this whole conference session. And just before you start, let your audience know how you want to handle questions. Can they ask you questions during your session, or you want to just wait and you'll allow for questions after?
I will answer that question by saying I want to hear your questions when you have them. That's when they're burning the brightest, and I'm happy to answer. First of all, I want to say thank you for bearing with me while my laptop was MIA. We thought it was gone, but we ended up finding it, so thank you for bearing with me. This is the said laptop, and I am no longer as rattled as I once was. There was a video of my dog who is now deceased on that laptop, and I was very worried that I would never see it again, but the laptop has been procured. So today is actually the last class that I'm teaching, and it's one of the most exciting for me and one of the most important because it's about changing hearts and minds through our writing. A good book can do this. Nonfiction can do this. An op-ed can do this. But today I'm going to talk about the most effective ways we can use our writing to broaden people's minds. In my book, 50 States of Mind, I talk about how we can't expect to change people's minds. However, we can expect to broaden people's minds, to ask them to consider our stories when people come to terms with their experiences. So I want to share a quick anecdote about why persuasive writing is so important. The other day, I had an issue with my plumber. My plumber did not diagnose the sewer gas smell in my house when I expected them to. They came multiple times. They charged me about $1,000 in fees for something that did not fix the problem. And finally, I said, I'm going to send an email, and I'm going to explain why I think I should get a refund. I sent an email and laid out all the facts, and they got back to me, and they still weren't really hearing me. They weren't really listening to what I was saying. They said, you know, we don't actually feel as though we've done anything wrong. So instead of responding in an angry way, I responded with the receipts. I responded saying, you know, I know this is a headache for you, and I'm sorry, but I just want to get all the facts straight. Eventually, they came around, and they said, all right, we're going to give you a refund, and we sort of met in the middle. So that's sort of the spirit of why we're here today. You may not get published in an op-ed, but you may be able to use your persuasive writing skills to make you some money back. This book, 50 States of Mind, is a journey to rediscover American democracy. I traveled to all 50 states talking to people all over the country. And I learned on that trip ways to have a constructive conversation with people, ways to change hearts and minds. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So how do we change hearts and minds? What are the tones that we can set? Well, I'm going to start with what doesn't work. Lecturing to people, condescending to people, haughtiness or divisive partisan language, familiar partisan talking points or statistics or expertise alone. How do we change hearts and minds in our writing? Humor, friendliness, relatable anecdotes, acknowledging our limitations, open-minded language, and this phrase, I see your point. One of the exercises we're going to be doing today revolves around seeing someone else's perspective on an issue we care about and using that to strengthen our writing. At the end of the day, the most effective tool to change hearts and minds is storytelling. The stories that we can share, putting a human face to an abstract idea, sharing your experiences on an issue that is abstract. So first thing I'd like you to do is think about what issues you really care about. Spoiler alert, We are going to end today with writing an op-ed that we can actually submit somewhere. For those of you who are in my publishing class, I talked about how publishing is not a party you're invited to. It's a party you crash. And publishing op-eds, publishing letters to the editor is one of the best ways to get your name out there in print and establish yourself as an expert in a field. So we are going to be working today to give you something to publish right away when you walk out of here at 4 o'clock. So I would like you to take 3 minutes and write down some issues you really care about. And I'm going to challenge you to think locally first. What's something here in the Olathe community or the Overland Park community or the Kansas City community that you really care about? Something that you see that has changed. Something you want to see changed. Something that you care about with the city or the county or even Missouri or Kansas as a whole. I'd like you to take a moment and just think about some of those issues that you care about. Okay, so I'm going to have us go around and share. And I really want to get to know each of you because this is going to be all about sharing your personal stories. So I'm going to start over here. I want to know your name, where you're from, and something you learned from the Writers' Conference, as well as some of the issues you wrote down that you care about and want to write about. So start here. Oh, yep.
Gotta be on mic. Hey everyone, I'm Sai.
Hi, Sai.
I moved back here to Overland Park just a few months ago. I grew up here, so I moved back home. One of the things that I've learned throughout this Writers' Conference is the amount of different inspiration that you can take from poetry, from narrative style, from all these different sorts of writing that impact and have persuasion on someone that has changes something about them for the rest of the day, the week, the month, and maybe and hopefully their life. So that's something that I've taken as inspiration from all the speakers and all the participants so far. For me, living back here for a few months, I'm not necessarily passionate about this, but I am the road infrastructure system in Kansas City. There's a lot of traffic cones these days that I've noticed, especially in the downtown area. So I think that's something. But the actual one that I really, I think, have more of a passion for is young professionals having community after college, where I think that's where I've devoted more of my time and energy to these days with my own business, and writing, but having community for young professionals right after college, where they're getting to know themselves through writing, just through living their life, through work. And I think that's an underserved community right now. And I think Kansas City has that young energy, and I think we can build off that. So that's cause that motivates me these days. Thank you.
Sounds like an essay in the making. I do know Scott. Hello, Scott. Good to see you again.
Background, I'm a scientist. I'm a physician. I'm retired. I've lived in Kansas City Metro since 2005 after spending time in other parts of the plains. And concerns I have are both big and small. Communication silos with the demise of the newspaper, the eroding support for public education, the onerous activities of HOAs across the metro area, the fact that cities, the right hand doesn't know what the left hand does. They spend much money leveling sidewalks and then plant a tree 2 feet away that's going to disrupt that leveling within 5 years, both of which are mandated. Medicaid expansion. As a physician, I found the rural situation in Kansas just degrading and disastrous over time. Sustainability, our water supply is in danger with the diminishing aquifers and the uneven and unexpected weather changes. Affordable housing, because it's crazy that people who work in a community, teachers, firefighters, policemen, have to drive 45 minutes to get to work because they can't live in the community they work for. So,
Fantastic. And what's something you learned from the Writers' Conference?
from the Writers' Conference, that I need to work on my what I really want to do so that I can express it well.
I love it. I love it. You're doing a good job already. Jan,
I'm Jan Crawford. I just gained a lot from this conference, particularly from the critique that is opened. Last night I thought, gee, I wished I'd thought this through so that I'd have really nice typed out, stories, to give to the person that's going to do the critique, or even have one that I might even do that reading thing. I don't know. So I just grabbed two things that I just reached into a creative thing and pulled out two things, and one of them was decent looking, very short, one page with just a little bit on the second page, and the other one was a rough draft with red marks all over it, and I was embarrassed to bring it. But it's a story that's really important to me, and I thought, boy, that'd be great if I could get a third-party professional creative writing teacher from KU to give me 10 minutes of their time, which he did. And he said, don't worry about what it looks like. Just give me a chance to read it, and I'll critique it for you, which he did. Looking at it, it's been years since I've looked at it. And looking at it at fresh eyes, I could hear the word luxurious and luxurious 2 times in it when it shouldn't have been. And just going around the corner, and then 2 paragraphs later going around the corner. So, just back it away from it. And then the one that he critiqued, he said, what's it about? And I said, then he said, why doesn't your title reflect that? It doesn't. And then a place in the middle, he said, I stopped the story, gave an explanation, and then restarted the story, and it needed to be more smooth than that. So valuable. And I got up my nerve to have the person that I read the story to, she recorded it. So I have that presentation, which I think will be a real fun way to share this experience with other people. So I just gained, and I got to do the little critique of what I learned in the conference on video. And when I said publishing is not a party you're invited to, it's a party that you crash, the social media person who was taping that went, yes! So, kind of made my day. You can take a bow. That's the quote from your class.
Thank you.
Yesterday.
Thank you. And what's something you care about that you want to write about today?
That's been an interesting little discovery on my part. What I really want to write the op-ed about is corporations serving more nutritious food in assisted living. But I'll pick a more local thing, and that would be the school board's way that they handle special ed children in the Gardner area where I live.
Okay. Great. Thank you, Jan. Mel, you have a name tag, so I know your name, unless
Yeah.
that's not your,
Yeah, Mel
your
Kearney.
name tag.
What I've got, one of the best things I've gotten so far out of the conference is the session on the lead in to a story, or to a poem, or to whatever you're writing. That was excellent. I was just, I just had never given much thought to the first sentence, as this lady pointed out. So I'm going to take her, buy her book, and see if I can make the first paragraph or first sentence mean more. So that was an excellent session. And then the one on editing, because I'm working on a book with stories from other veterans, and so I'm editing now. Because they have no experience writing; they're writing, and so I'm learning to edit, and just do it softly, and carry a big stick, but use a small one, and so you don't embarrass anybody from with your critique.
Exactly.
It was very, very good. That's good. That's good advice. And I guess mine is just more of a. It seems like as a society, we're in a field. If it feels good, do it. There is no one who will challenge you in regard to personal responsibility or whether it's right or wrong.
Great. All right. Thank you, Mel. Hello.
My name is Paulina.
Paulina?
Paulina. I'm working here and dealing with the people in healthcare. And my friend invited me when I came here to hear about this conference. And I have been in Michigan and then I shifted from Michigan and then to here, Kansas City. I'm living here at the Overland Park.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm so interested about this because it looked like, as far as dealing with the people, very interested because always we need something, at least create your brain and feel that we need and we miss something like this one. So
I'm so glad you're here, Paulina. And is there something that you are excited to write an op-ed about today?
yeah, I'm so excited and I'm so happy. And as I deal with the public too, I was so excited and feel that I need something. Create your brain and be active and see how we can cope with the day life in the public. We'll save with the people too.
Perfect. I love it. Well, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. And now you two get to fight over the mic. Okay.
She can have it.
Okay, I'm Lavana. One of the things that I care a lot about and like to see changes is corporate greed, whether it's in healthcare, nursing homes, or just big corporations. How they impact the environment with unrecyclable products or some of the largest corporations have so many times second opinions in healthcare are vital to someone's health, and it's prohibitively costly. So, and I've had family members that haven't been able to get that care and were misdiagnosed and ended up dying because of it. And just the nursing home care, the cost for being in a nursing home and not having enough staff to take care of people, to make sure that they're being able to just walk up and down a hallway, and not having enough staff to make sure that they can do that, or having no one to interact with. And during COVID, not having access to communication. Someone with dementia can't necessarily handle a phone. And not being able to contact family. Not having a phone available where they can talk with family. So,
That's very important. Nice to meet you, Lavana.
thank you.
And last but certainly not least, nice to meet you. What's your name?
My name is Christy, and my
Christy.
complaints are customer service, literacy, parenting, politics, homelessness, gas prices, religion, and churches.
We got a good list.
It's just the surface. My experience here at this particular writers' conference, because I've been at all of them, I've been at all 8, and I'm familiar with the staff, and it's always been really great with every meeting people and talking with people here. Now they're talking about, we need you to present next year. I'm like, okay.
Oh,
So
my
I
gosh.
don't know what I'm I don't know. But anyway, I am not a poet. I love reading poetry, but I am not a poet. But I discovered that I could write about my fedora, so I did. So now I'm done. That's my story.
Oh, fantastic. Well, it's so nice to get to know each of you individually, because we're going to move into the phase now where we really want to hear from each other, hear each other's stories. So I'm going to be giving you 4 prompts today before we start our op-eds. So whenever I travel around the country talking about my book, 50 States of Mind, I always say the more I'm talking, the less I'm learning. So I always turn it back to the people in the crowd and I ask them 3 questions. And so I'm going to ask you to do a free write based on each of these initial 3 questions. The first one is, tell me a story about something that you've changed your mind on. That you've changed your mind on. It could be, I used to think Krispy Kreme donuts were disgusting, and now I love them. It could be, I used to think I would never have children, and now I have children. But tell me a story about something that you personally have changed your mind on. And we'll take about 5 minutes and do a free write on that. And I'm walking around if you have any questions. cool. Thank you. It really does. This, I mean, I really had big plans for this before the laptop went missing. But this clicker is pretty cool. All I need is a laser pointer now. Okay. I'd love about a minute more for writing. I still see some pens moving, and start thinking about if you are willing to share what you've written. Okay, I'm still seeing some pens moving, but I'd love to know, do I have any volunteers? Do I have any volunteers to share what you wrote? Sai is shaking his head.
I'll do it reluctantly.
Okay.
Well, I didn't copy from you because I wrote children the moment you were saying that sentence about something, or maybe if you change your mind about children, so just a coincidence. So I used to think that I'd have children. Growing up, it was just assumed, part of the invisible air around us, the ubiquitous water for fish. Then I believed that I would only have adopted children. I didn't want to create and pass on extra karma unnecessarily. Now, with my partner, I've realized it's not really my decision. I have maybe 10% of the say, but I'm glad it's a potential. I'm glad it's a potential possibility with a combination of biological and adopted children with our conversations that we've had. So let's see where it goes in the future. No children yet.
No children yet. Maybe in
One
the
day.
future. I love it. Thank you, Sai. Does anyone else want to share what they wrote? Jan?
I have been divorced for 30 years. Remarrying is not even in the plans for the last part of this journey of my life. I don't even think about getting married again. I am a strong, independent, single woman of 80 years of age. Until a fellow resident at the assisted living facility I've just recently moved into rewrote the final chapter of my life. When a lovely, caring, intelligent, funny man tells me that I am the answer to his prayers for having a companion for the rest of his life, let's just say he has broadened my horizons as the journey that I am on.
I will say, hearing about your marriage in yesterday's class, I went home and I told everyone, love is real. Love is real. Doesn't matter.
There's no age limit on it.
There's no age limit on love. I have a friend who's 40 and she's very upset that she's not married yet. I'm like, I'm going to give you Jan's number because Jan has the most beautiful love
Maybe
story.
she should get Stan's number and ask him how he talked me into it.
Oh, okay. All right, I'm going to stay after class, please. Does anyone else want to share before we move on to our next exercise? Anyone? All right, Mel?
Yes, several years ago, I was convinced that that the soldiers that came back with me from Vietnam, that they were not living up to any good standard. I had no idea what PTSD was, and I was at the VA hospital in Leavenworth where I met a Vietnam advocate. He gave me a list of PTSD symptoms. Number one, the number one thing was works alone, which I had done all my life. And as I read down the list, I discovered that they could have put my name at the top of the page. I discovered that I could be a PTSD poster child. So I changed my mind. Yes, I do.
Well, Mel, thank you for your service and thank you for sharing. I think there's a lot of awareness that's coming into the forefront around PTSD and veterans. And of course, you know about the Veterans Community Project here in Kansas City that's just doing great work for veterans. All right, so we're going to go on to our next prompt. And that is, what is something you are open to changing your mind about? Maybe an issue that you don't totally understand, or an argument that you've heard recently that you never thought would appeal to you that is starting to make inroads into your mind. Something that you're open to changing your mind about. Take about 4 minutes for this one, so I'd love for that vibey music to come back. Oof, that is vibey.
Everybody was laughing at that. That's the thing about fedoras is I just my thing. Yeah, everybody has a thing.
Everyone has a thing? Okay, I want to get to the next one, so let's take about 1 more minute, wrap this up, share if we want to. Okay. Does anyone want to share something they're open to changing their mind about? This one's maybe the hardest of all of them. Okay.
As early as 1982, I was very excited about the advent of electronic medical records and technology improvements in healthcare, only to find that when it arrived, it had been captured by corporate interests who were more involved with making sure those records reflected their ability to deal with financial issues rather than the doctor's own.
Mm.
So I have grown very distrustful of so-called technological breakthroughs or improvements, but I'm perfectly willing to change my mind if I don't have to continue to talk to computers on the phone.
Fair.
It's only gonna get worse, sir.
Yeah, fair enough.
I believe that, but I'm willing to change my mind.
Yeah, try
if it
talking to an
doesn't happen.
AI customer service representative. That's even
Seems
more
like
maddening.
every day.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, thank you, Scott.
And even when I've got it right, they've changed their password and I have to start over.
I feel for you, and it's not an age thing either. It's like young people are good with technology. I don't know my passwords. I tried to log into a computer the other day here, and it was a disaster. Anyone else have something that they are open to changing their mind about?
I have three things.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
First one is, it's political, and I don't want to get into it because I put on here enough said, but that not all Republicans are bad.
Okay. Okay.
Enough said. That not all parents lack parenting skills. It's just hard, and they are unable to put in the time and unwilling to put forth the effort.
Mm-hmm.
I see this often. And then AI, and I'm just going to say enough said on that. AI is a beautiful thing in my mind, but not everyone is going to embrace it. But I always think back about the time when, the Industrial Revolution, horse and buggy was no more. Ford came out with the car. There was the steam engine train. All of that was a huge transition and a sign of the times. And AI is our future.
And blacksmiths weren't unionized, so.
Right? So.
You're getting a workout today. Amazing. Thank you for sharing. And this last one is maybe, for some people, the easiest. What is something you would never change your mind about?
That's just as hard.
And this is going to be a two-parter as well. While you're writing about something you would never change your mind on, write from the opposite perspective. Imagine a story that would counter yours. So if there's something you would never change your mind about, see if there's something that you could also write about that might counter your perspective, something you'd never change your mind about, and also consider someone else from the other side who may never change their mind about the same thing. do about 2 more minutes of writing, and then we're going to share, and then we're going to move on to our final exercise. Okay, would anyone like to share something they would never change their mind about? Sai, you're like reluctant again, but we know you will.
There's that dude again.
What is your name? Logan.
I just work here.
Logan,
Thank you,
MVP of this session.
Is it okay if I share both?
Please.
Okay, so something I never changed my mind about. I heard this quote from Jim Collins recently, an author, a business person. He said, "Life is people." That was one of his main takeaways from his life that he's taken, where throughout his entire life, he focuses on the relationships with people, his loved ones, his friends, and it's really all in the end, business, organizations, nonprofits, everything, public, private, it's all, the end game is to help people. So that was something that resonated with me, and that was something I never changed my mind about. And then part 2 of this was right from the opposite perspective. So I said, life is not people. Life is only about yourself. Let's say you do service. Some say that it's to help others, which definitely can be the case. But it's also for yourself. Service can help cleanse yourself and your soul. Right? Naval Ravikant, he said life is a one-player game. And, we do obviously interact with a bunch of people throughout that game of life, but in the end, we're born and die alone. And I said, life is about ideas. It's about the earth. Humans are temporary, right? Even earth is temporary. So life is really about something beyond the physical. Life is about the soul, the thing that's not people, right? But people are a subset of it. So all that to say, the thing that I thought I would never change my mind about, I could see an argument for it. I see both sides. So it didn't take, it took all of 2 minutes to potentially change my mind, or at least
very
consider both
impressionable,
sides.
Sai, as am I, because I was with you on both sides. Does anyone else have something that they'd like to share?
I'd be happy to.
Jan?
My folks spanked me, and I turned out all right, so I'm fine spanking my children. This mindset makes my blood boil. I have no tolerance for the practice of spanking. Spanking to me is a power trip. If another person hit your child, it would be assault. You hit your child, and it's called parenting. I see children in school who are spanked. They have learned that physical violence is the way to solve a problem. This has serious consequences for our society, and it didn't take me 2 minutes to come up with the other side of it. Maybe a child crossing the street where he is in danger of being killed, I could possibly agree that a quick swat on the bottom might get his attention while I'm telling him, don't do that again.
Mm-hmm. And you forgot the part about it being between two consenting adults.
Say it again.
Between two consenting adults, maybe it's okay, but spanking. But anyway, sorry. Yes, so sorry, I'm trying to lighten up the room a little bit. It's all very heavy. Thank you, Jan. Thank you. I don't want to ask about your marriage, but yes. Okay. This is going to bring us home to the point of all of this. So why did I make us go through all of these steps of changing our own minds, flirting with changing our minds, laying down the line where we will not change our minds, but then also seeing someone else's perspective on the same thing? I want us to come back to that idea for an op-ed you had, and I want us to infuse it with the spirit of people's minds can change. We have the power through our writing, through our relationships, to change people's minds. And if we admit to ourselves that we have that power, our writing will be that much more persuasive. But there is a second part too. There's the humility that comes with writing persuasively. Someone else will think differently than us, but that person is actually probably movable. There are things that they will concede. They'll say, you know what? I actually may be open to changing my mind about this issue after I hear from you. There are things I can say, I see your point too. So I want us to write with that spirit of power. We do have the power to persuade, but also humility. We are certain in many things, but there are things that we don't know. We too have room to grow. So let's start this essay of 600 words. You can either talk about how you've changed your mind on something to open up one of these topics. You can explain how you're curious about a topic and that's how you've come to change your mind. Or you can explain something that you'd never change your mind on, but acknowledge that someone else might have a different argument, and acknowledge that and interface with it. So we'll take 5 minutes and do that, and then I will wrap up by telling you where you can submit these amazing op-eds. So take 5 minutes and write, and these can stay private. Okay, we have about 2 minutes left, so I'm going to pause us there. Did this help? Did we find ourselves writing more persuasively after doing these exercises? All right, I've got a great. So why is it so important for us to be writing and starting dialogue? We live in a society that is very black and white. Social media has made it very hard to get into nuance. So I think as writers, it's our job to open up conversation. And where can we open up conversations? You were talking about the slow death of local newspapers. Well, they're not all dead yet. There is an amazing organization called the Op-Ed Project. And what they do is they collect submission information from hundreds of different newspapers all around the country. They give very specific direction. And if we look at the Buffalo News in New York, for example, my view is a first-person column to all Western New York writers. Okay, we're not eligible for that, but submission should be 600 words. The article should have some personal narrative storytelling and an expository argument. These are the forums through which we can have conversations about young professionals finding community, whether or not we should have children, even the political debate right now. Our writing is actually in demand because they are printing every single day. So if you're walking out of here and you're wondering, how do I get published? This is a really fantastic place to start. Getting published in a newspaper that everybody knows and starting a conversation, which hopefully will pave the way to your readership getting bigger and bigger when you publish your book of poems about your fedoras, or your novel, or your book of short stories, or your crime thriller. So I hope we can use the power of narrative essay not only to make our society a little bit more open-minded, a little more civil, but also make you fabulous published writers. Thank you very much for being here today. Oh, the vibey music. Thank you.
And thank you everyone for attending our conference this weekend. Thank you, Ryan, very much for your presentation. And any other questions, come visit us at Johnson County Library, Christy.
I will do it, thank you.
And we're just happy that you have all been able to be with us during this conference.
It's been amazing. Is it over? The
It's finished.
Oh my gosh. Well, second round of applause.
I'm gonna know what it's like sitting next to her.
Oh my gosh. You know they say don't meet your heroes? She is unbelievable. You film a game show, and most people who are at that level of celebrity, they just kind of get out during a break. She would actually be there wrapping up the audience by dancing and clapping and getting people excited. She doesn't know anything about Harry Potter, though. She has not read a single book.